Well, hello, this is Dr. Joe Carson. We're going to talk to you a little bit about frames. This is what I would call a trimmer, or something very basic, and when I talk to you about this, I'm going to tell you my opinions, and it doesn't mean it's the gospel. It doesn't mean that you don't have a better idea or a better product, but I want to give you just some basic information on frames today. You have basically two kinds of frames, or two materials of frames. You're either going to have plastic or you're going to have wood. So when you look at plastic frames, you're going to have a complete plastic frame, all one piece with a plastic foundation. And everybody makes these. You're going to find them from Daydent, from Man Lake, from whomever. There's going to be a lot of different. This is a Pierco. So one thing I will say is that if you find that you have a plastic foundation and it has no name on it, you can be pretty sure that it's an offshore, cheap knockoff of the original. Just to give you a little bit of something, this is a Pierco. Says Pierco right on it. They give you the name, they tell you what it is. Here it says Pierco right here. Pierco was Pierce Company. They were the originators at the very beginning, the first people who did this many years ago. Now look at this one here. This is just for your own edification. This is a brand new one that I just received as a sample for me to test. When you put these side by side, it's amazing. It has the exact same design. It has the same earpiece, but a little bit different right up here on the ear. The cell structure is the same. When you look at the ends of it, who knocked off who? This is a 30-plus year design. This one's brand new. Everything is copied off of Pierco. So there's a lot of names out there. There's a lot of product out there. A lot of them work really well. You just have to decide if you want to go with a knockoff, some kind of an imitation. There are some differences in the ear tabs. When you look at the ear tabs on these, if you can look in there really close, you'll see that they design them with a little bit of reinforcement on the inside. So this is a Pierco one. Theirs is a cross member. And then you look at this no name. They're not proud of their product, obviously. So there is a little bit more. This is a solid all the way through. This one's a solid on the inside. This has some reinforcement. This, I would say that even when you look at when it sits on the lip right in here, it's good to know if it is perfectly square, it is going to be more of a pain to get out because they're going to propolize it in. They copied that on this one the same exact way. One thing you want to look at when you buy plastic is that the cell size. What size does the bee make their cell? Is the cell a 4.9, a 5.0, a 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, 5.4? Different people have made different sizes, and you need to know what you like. There's a large group out there that is really for 4.9 being a smaller cell size, so they believe that it restricts the amount of drones that can be hatched in there. There's not enough room, so therefore you have less drones, you're going to have less mites, etc. So they call it a kind of a way to mitigate the mite population is what their idea is. I don't buy into that. I've tried it. I haven't seen a difference, but that's what their idea is. So you've got these are medium size, so that's fine. Even when you look at the bottom here, there's this little reinforcement, little tab right here, here, and here, little injection mold points. And when you look at the original Pierco, it's the exact same thing. Somebody knocked off Pierco. And the reality is, every single producer out there has produced a Pierco duplicate. Here's another product. This one just came to me just a couple weeks ago, brand new, no name, the same structure, the same everything here, everything is the same. It doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that if you're not buying the original, I will tell you what, this one here, this is not a Pierco. When you look, if you can see this right down the line, the amount of quality control, this one has a bow in it. You can look at it, it's warped, like you would see on wood. Well, when you look at this side here, this foundation is also bowed, and this one is inside a little bit. Is that a problem? If you didn't pay attention and stuck one of these right next to another deep one, for instance, this is a wood obviously, but if you stuck two of them side by side and they were both bowed to the middle, you would have a mess inside. They're going to get probably glued together. Wax is going to be put together on the thing. So there is a difference in quality control. So be very careful about that. This one has not been baked in the sun. It has not been sat on. It has not been abused. It is just, this is the way it came, straight from the box, from the manufacturer. And I will tell you this, This is an offshore product. So enough said about it. I know who made it. But that's a full plastic. You can get them in the deeps. When you get yours like this, typically they come from the factory, from the manufacturer, with a single coat of wax on. So they go and they'll spray a coat of wax and spray a coat of wax, because the bees on this bare plastic really don't like it. So you need to put the wax on there. It draws them to there. They say, hey, that smells pretty good, so they like it. Now Pureco and some of the others are doing a single spray. They're doing a double coat, and on occasion you can request a triple coat of wax on there, which the more wax that is there, the less they have to draw out. They're going to rearrange it. So how much is it worth to have the additional wax sprayed on? That's something that you'll have to decide. I think a single coat is good. You need it. If you want to do your own, you can take your own wax, melt it, and you can paint on there. And if you're going to do that, just a side note, I would use a foam paintbrush, not a bristle paintbrush. The bristle ones tend to go in, and the bristles tend to pull the wax out of the cells. But if you'll go with just a regular foam one, it lays it on there, and they will massage it the way they want to do it. So those are plastic, and I realize this is kind of a quick overview, but that's what we're trying to get to today. When you go to the next step of plastic, so these are solid, everything's plastic. The inside, outside, the foundation, the frame. It is good when you go to put this in an extractor, a plastic one, and you spin it out, you run it through a capping machine, or you scrape off the capping wax and put it in. It doesn't blow out they're very, very strong. They're very strong. I don't think they draw them out near as well as if it was wax. Here, this is a wooden frame, and then you have plastic foundation that you pop in. So this just pops in and out. I'm going to pop this one out. So this pops in and out. There's going to be a groove at the top and a groove at the bottom, and so you're just going to take your wax foundation. Oh, this one smells good. This has got wax on it. So this one, you'll stick it in the bottom, and then you'll put it in the slot. You'll stick it right here, and you'll go gently, push it on the top, and you'll try to get it back into the slot, and there it is in the slot. It's not a big deal to do. One thing about this plastic foundation, whether it's on deeps or whether it's on medium size or a super, if you will, they come manufactured with, on the corner here, there's some little dots right here, and that is if you choose to, you take it, you bend it, and you bend it, and if you take and you break that off, eventually, have your tool ready, but you can see right here, they automatically perforate that for you, and if you do that, you can take that off on both corners, and then you can decide if you choose to do that. Then when you put it in and you drop it into a frame, a full-size frame, I've got a full-size frame, this one didn't get popped out. Take the plastic out of there, but if you put it in, you want to put that in at the top so that gives room. They can walk on the frame, walk through there, and communicate and get on the back side of the frame easily. When you look at this one as it came from the factory, this one has it on the top, but the perforations are not knocked out. If you don't knock them out, the bees must walk around. Therefore, this design on the end of your frame is cut, is recessed, it's skinnier right here, if you will. So the bees can go here and walk and go around the other side. A good pattern, a good queen, and good bees, they're going to lay a good pattern that's going to be on one side the same as it on the other side. If you don't, then you're going to have spotty foundation, spotty wax, spotty buildup. So you've got solid plastic, or you have wood frame with plastic. The cost differential is, they're really pretty similar. This one, if you're buying just 5 or 10 or 20, and this one 5 or 10 or 20, this one might cost you just a hair more, because the wood costs, the wood and the plastic together exceeds this cost by a little bit. Depends on where you are, how many you're buying, so that's just a question. Some of the new frames today, the big selling point of the new wood frames is, you've got this thickness here. They take a little bit off of this, and they make the bottom bar heavier duty, because when you put this in your extractor and it spins around, the tangential and radial, some different forces, the gravitational forces it spins, this can tend to, if it's really heavy, it can blow out, and so they call them a blowout. If you go along, this could go and blow out, and it could pop out and cause problems or get just like this. It doesn't happen all the time, but it's possible. This one doesn't have blowouts. It's a solid piece. This one is much more labor intensive. You must get the 4 pieces, the top bar, the bottom bar, the end bars, and then you must put it together in a jig, and I've got a jig. And then you must glue it. You use your good wood glue, and then once you glue it, then you come back and you staple the 2 bottom parts, you staple the top parts. If you're really good, you'll staple underneath the ear right here on both sides as well. So you run a smaller staple here and then a larger staple here. If you do that, it holds together pretty well. I think you can get a good 2-3 years out of one of these if you're using it and not beating it up. When you go to take this out of a hive, if it's sitting in a hive, this tends to tear up more so than the ears on a plastic one. So if you're working in the hive, wood doesn't last quite as long as a solid plastic one. The bees prefer wood over plastic, and they prefer wax over plastic. So that's an idea just to think about. What do the bees like? So you've got labor. If you're running commercial operation, putting together all these frames is going to be more labor intensive. I've got a friend up in Saskatchewan. They have a jig that is about as long as this table, and they put all the sidebars in, and they put all the bottom bars, and they staple off. And so they run many at a time, but they've got a full army of about 12 people making frames at the same time. Now let's go to look at some alternatives. We talked about foundation. Oh, one other thing about this plastic foundation when it goes into your hive. There's a thing out there that nobody's talking about today, and that's called harmonics. Harmonics is the sound, the vibrations that the bees can feel on one side versus the other side. If you had a snare drum and you tap it on the top, and if you listen on the bottom, you'd hear a sound on the bottom. That's almost like a harmonics. How can you feel that vibrations? Some people tell you, I've seen some Chinese foundation that is so hard that, man, you could just about beat it up on anything and it won't break. So they say, ours is so great, it never breaks, it never blows out. Well, the bees don't like it. It has no harmonics. If you have a beautiful pattern here, they're trying to build it, but when they get on the other side, they can't tell when you tap on something. You know when you tap on a wall and you're trying to find a stud on the wall, so you're tapping along, and you know there's a stud in there, so you're tapping. And then you can hear when you get to a stud. Well, the bees want to be able to work it on this side, and they can tell when there's wax on one side and not on the other side. And that harmonics really does make a difference. So the biggest, fattest, heaviest is not necessarily the best. So we can talk more about harmonics in the future sometime if you'd like. So those are what we're talking about in wood and plastic. All plastic, wood and plastic, or now we can go to a different kind of a frame that I really like. This is an original, and this is a second, no, this is not the second generation. Second generation, that one here. Here's the second generation. These are made by Apimaya, and that is Apimaya, Apimaya. So you can go, this is a frame that breaks apart. So you buy the frame, very simple. This is their first rendition. I know the guy, I met him first in about 2009. Maybe it was 2009 down in Buenos Aires, Argentina, down at Apamondia. And so this is a frame. He just invented it at that time. This has 4 clips. You pull out the 4 clips. Don't worry, pull it out. Pull out the clips, pull out the clips. You take this, and it comes in half. Very, very simple. What you do then is you take and you get your piece of foundation wax, lay your piece of wax there, put the 2 pieces back together. You can see the little ears and little tabs, so that one's kind of getting busted, messed up on that. But you take the 2 together, put it together, just like this, squeeze, 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 and now your frame is done. Idiot proof. That is, well, on the original rendition, then you put your clips in, okay? So that's how you would do that. The newer one that they have now, he's come out with one that has no clips. This one has communications on the side. It has, you can see here, it has more communication so they can get around easier. This one breaks in half. You just pull it in half. Very, very simple. Just like that. Take your piece of wax foundation. Just a second, I'll grab the piece. Here's a piece of wax. Well, I was going to show you that foundation. This foundation is no longer made. Had beautiful harmonics. The bees absolutely loved it. It was a fantastic. It's no longer made, so I can't tell you anything about it. One thing I was going to point out, though, when they paint all these double waxes on there, you see some goobers of extra wax. That's fine. Don't worry about it. The bees are going to take it and they're going to move it where they want. If you get extra wax like that, be thankful. So that's okay. The more wax, the better. But you can take a piece of wax foundation like this. You can buy it off of Daydant, or you can make your own, depends on however you like to do it. Just take your piece of wax, lay it right there. You see how hard this is? This is very simple. Take this, lay it right back on the top, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. You are now completely done. It is finished. The bees love this wax. They will draw this thing out. I did a video. If you look back and check one of my previous videos, I did a video. They are drawing this foundation out at minimum of 2 times faster than the best quality plastic foundation that I can find, that I know of. This double. So you're going to pay, these are from Apimaya, APIMAYE, -US.com, I think it is. They come out of the Phoenix area, somewhere out of, it's made in Turkey. This is made in Turkey. I'll tell you that right now. It's made in Turkey. The guy's a great guy. The Turks designed this. There's many patents on it, so nobody can knock it off, hopefully. You squeeze it in there like that. You put it together. When you put it into the hive, they love it. The ear tabs, fantastic. They don't stick. This plastic does not stick anywhere near what this wood does. I mean, it's just a dream to get out and put it in and take care of it. When you want to run some, if you want to, now, obviously this is going to be very solid when it's all drawn out. Is it going to have blowouts? Not any more than putting in wax and any other thing. This is a fantastic, I cannot tell you how good it is. The price that they have, I looked it up today, was $95 for 20 of them, of the deeps, and $85 for 20 of the medium size. This size here, that's what it costs. So you're about $5 a piece. You're going to pay somewhere around $1 for wax foundation. I don't know. But once you buy this, this breaks far less than the wood will break. It's not going to splinter. You don't have to screw it and glue it and staple it and all that other mess. The bees are going to like this so much better, exponentially better than a plastic foundation. If I was running a lot of bees, this is what I run. I prefer this all the time. So that's what it is.